He was homeless, sleeping in his car, staging plays to empty seats in rented church halls across the South. Hollywood rejected him for being too black, too Southern, too religious. He never asked them again. Tyler Perry built his own machine instead. Today, he owns 330 acres of prime Atlanta real estate, a sprawling studio lot larger than Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Disney combined. His net worth exceeds $1 billion. His content library is worth more than most networks. This Atlanta family did not join the entertainment industry. They built a parallel empire and made Hollywood come to them. They call him Hollywood's outsider, but Tyler Perry never wanted to be inside. While studio executives in Los Angeles were passing on his scripts and agents in New York were hanging up on his calls, Perry was building something far more radical in Atlanta. Not a career, an empire. And not just any empire, a family fortress of brick, sound stages, and generational wealth that now stands as the largest African-American owned entertainment studio in the nation. This is the story of how one man's refusal to be owned turned into the blueprint for Black entertainment sovereignty. The beginning was brutal. Perry grew up in New Orleans. He was the son of a carpenter who beat him so severely that he legally changed his name to escape the association. Poverty was the default. Abuse was the background noise. There were no industry connections, no trust fund, no Hollywood lineage. He was just a young man with a spiral notebook full of letters to himself, letters that would eventually become the play, "I Know I've Been Changed." That play nearly destroyed him before it made him. Perry spent his entire savings, around $12,000, to stage the production in 1992. Almost no one came. He was homeless, sleeping in his car, collecting cans to survive. For 6 years, he restaged the play across the South, refining it, funding it himself, watching empty seats slowly fill. In 1998, the breakthrough finally arrived. A sold-out run in Atlanta's House of Blues proved the concept. The audience was not Hollywood's target demographic. They were church-going Black women, the backbone of Southern communities, hungry for stories that spoke their language. Perry recognized what no studio executive could see. There was a massive, underserved audience willing to pay for content that reflected their faith, their humor, and their resilience. And he refused to let anyone else control access to that audience. The offers came quickly. Studios wanted to acquire his plays. Distributors wanted to license his content. Agents wanted to package him into the standard Hollywood machinery. Perry said no, every single time. He understood that a seat at someone else's table came with strings. Creative control surrendered, profits siphoned, ownership diluted. Instead, he became his own studio, his own distributor, his own marketing machine. He financed his first film, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, with his own money. In 2005, it opened to $21.9 million, made on a budget of just $5.5 million. Hollywood was stunned. Perry was not. What followed was a content engine unlike anything the industry had seen from an independent creator. The Madea franchise alone would eventually gross over $1 billion at the box office. Tyler Perry Studios began producing films at a pace that rivaled major studios, with one critical difference. Perry owned everything: the scripts, the masters, the distribution deals, the intellectual property. While other Black creators were celebrated for getting deals, Perry was dismissed for refusing them. That silence suited him fine. But why Atlanta? The question itself reveals an assumption that success must be validated by proximity to traditional power. Perry rejected that premise entirely. Georgia's generous film tax credits made production cheaper. The cost of real estate made true ownership possible. And Atlanta's Black population, affluent and culturally engaged, provided both a workforce and an audience. This was not a retreat from Hollywood. It was a flanking maneuver. Perry wasn't running from the gatekeepers. He was making them irrelevant. In 2015, he made the move that would cement his legacy. Perry purchased 330 acres of land in southwest Atlanta, a former military base called Fort McPherson. The transaction itself was a statement. A black man who had grown up in poverty in New Orleans was now the owner of a decommissioned United States Army installation. Land that had once trained soldiers for foreign wars was now being repurposed to build a different kind of power. The vision was audacious. Tyler Perry Studios would not be a rented lot or a leased facility. It would be a fully owned, self-contained production city. Perry did not just buy property, he bought history and transformed its purpose. Construction began, and with it, a physical monument to a simple principle: ownership is the only form of power that cannot be revoked. The blueprints called for sound stages, backlots, post-production facilities, and a campus that could handle every phase of filmmaking under one roof and under one owner. The gates rising on that former military base were not merely security checkpoints. They were a declaration of independence from an industry that never wanted him in the first place. What Tyler Perry was building in Atlanta was more than a studio. It was proof that the entertainment business could be rewritten from the ground up by someone Hollywood had written off decades ago. The man who had once slept in his car was now personally designing the largest black-owned studio lot in American history. Tyler Perry Studios opened its gates in October 2019, and the numbers immediately rewrote the record books. The campus spans 330 acres, making it larger than any major Hollywood studio lot. Warner Brothers sits on 110 acres. Paramount occupies 65 acres. Disney's main lot comes in at just 51 acres. Perry's facility is not merely bigger, it operates on a different scale entirely. 12 sound stages bear the names of black entertainment pioneers, including Cicely Tyson, Oprah Winfrey, Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Whoopi Goldberg, and others whose shoulders Perry openly acknowledges he stands upon. Each stage is a monument and a workspace simultaneously. But the real story is not the acreage, it is what happens inside those gates every single day. Tyler Perry Studios employs thousands of workers directly, and the economic ripple extends far deeper into Atlanta's economy. Catering companies, transportation services, set construction crews, post-production houses, and talent agencies all feed from the content machine Perry operates. A single production can inject millions into the local economy before a single frame airs. The studio has become an employment engine that rivals manufacturing plants, but manufactures culture instead of cars. The volume of content flowing from the campus is staggering. Perry has produced over 30 films, 20 stage plays, and more than 1,200 episodes of television. His exclusive deal with Viacom, signed in 2017 and expanded multiple times since, is valued at nearly $1 billion. That agreement alone generates a reported minimum of 90 episodes of television per year across BET and other Viacom networks. To put that in perspective, most major studios consider 22 episodes a full television season. Perry delivers 4 times that output annually while maintaining creative control and ownership stakes that most showrunners can only dream about. His compensation reflects the leverage he commands. Industry estimates place his annual earnings between $150 million and $200 million, a figure that consistently lands him among the highest paid entertainers in the world. But unlike athletes or musicians whose income depends on continuous performance, Perry's wealth flows from assets he owns outright. The studio generates revenue whether he personally writes a script or not. The content library appreciates in value every year. The real estate beneath those sound stages grows more valuable as Atlanta's entertainment sector expands. The studio lot itself was appraised at over $280 million within years of opening. Combined with his content library, production company valuation, and various licensing deals, conservative estimates place Perry's total empire value well above $1 billion. Forbes has tracked his net worth at approximately $1 billion, though industry insiders suggest the true figure may be significantly higher when accounting for the appreciating value of his intellectual property catalog. Every Madea film, every House of Pain episode, every holiday special belongs to him. He owns the masters, he owns the negatives, he owns the streaming rights. In an era when legacy studios are selling their libraries to survive, Perry is accumulating his. But Tyler Perry did not stop at entertainment. The empire extends into sectors that have nothing to do with cameras or scripts. Real estate development has become a second pillar of his wealth strategy. Beyond the studio campus, Perry owns multiple properties across Atlanta, including a sprawling estate in the Buckhead neighborhood that sits on 17 acres and features its own private airstrip. His personal residence is a monument to the distance traveled from sleeping in that car in New Orleans. The property alone is valued in the tens of millions, but it represents something more than luxury. It represents liquidity converted into land, the oldest form of generational wealth. Perry has also invested in hospitality and commercial development ventures, though he maintains a characteristic silence about the specifics. What is known is that his business philosophy prioritizes ownership of physical assets over liquid investments. Land does not depreciate. Sound stages do not lose value when the stock market dips. Content libraries become more valuable as streaming platforms multiply and compete for programming. Every financial decision Perry makes appears calibrated toward permanence rather than flash. The diversification is strategic and deliberate. Entertainment revenue funds, real estate acquisition, real estate appreciation provides collateral for further content investment. The cycle compounds on itself, insulated from the volatility that destroys most entertainment fortunes. This is not a celebrity portfolio managed by advisors. This is an integrated wealth machine designed by a man who learned early that the only safety net is the one you build yourself. And Perry has always understood that empires built by single individuals crumble when that individual exits. The next phase of his strategy ensures the Tyler Perry empire will outlast Tyler Perry himself. The philanthropy is not an afterthought. It is architecture. Perry has donated tens of millions to causes that mirror the obstacles he once faced. He paid off layaway balances for thousands of families during the holidays, a gesture that made headlines and also revealed his understanding of the specific financial pressures working-class Black families endure. He has funded scholarships, contributed to historically Black colleges and universities, and written checks to disaster relief efforts across the South. But his most significant philanthropic investments target the opportunity infrastructure itself. Housing initiatives, workforce development programs, and community centers bear his fingerprints even when they do not bear his name. His political influence operates with similar quiet force. Perry has hosted fundraisers and private gatherings that have drawn presidents, senators, and mayors to his studio lot. The access is not transactional in the crude sense. It is relational. Politicians who want to understand Atlanta's Black economic power eventually find their way through those gates on Stanton Road. Perry does not endorse loudly or campaign publicly, but his proximity to decision-makers gives him a seat at tables where policy is shaped. When Georgia's film tax credits face legislative threats, Perry's voice carries weight that extends far beyond his personal fortune. The question of succession looms over any empire built by a singular visionary. Perry has one son, Aman, born in 2014. While the child is too young to assume any operational role, Perry has spoken publicly about building something that will outlast his own lifetime. The studio, the content library, the real estate holdings, these are not assets designed for liquidation. They are designed for inheritance. Perry has structured his businesses to ensure continuity, surrounding himself with executives and advisors who understand that the mission is generational, not personal. The empire is meant to compound across decades, not cash out at the peak. His philosophy on wealth is blunt and frequently repeated. Ownership is everything. Control is non-negotiable. Perry has said in interviews that he writes his own contracts, reads every clause, and refuses to delegate the decisions that determine whether he remains free or becomes beholden. This is not paranoia. It is the learned behavior of a man who watched the entertainment industry chew up black talent for generations, extracting value while returning pennies. He saw what happened to artists who signed away their masters. He studied the cautionary tales, and he built his empire to be the opposite of everything that had come before. The net worth figure demands context to be properly understood. Forbes estimates Tyler Perry's fortune at approximately $1 billion, a number that places him among the wealthiest Black Americans in any industry. But compare him to his entertainment peers, and the achievement becomes even more striking. Perry's wealth is not derived from inherited advantage, corporate salary, or the lottery of athletic talent. It was constructed dollar by dollar, project by project, acre by acre, by a man who started with less than nothing. He is wealthier than most studio heads who draw salaries from corporations they will never own. He controls more physical infrastructure than executives who spend their careers renting sound stages. The comparison to Hollywood moguls is not hyperbole, it is arithmetic. What Tyler Perry represents for Atlanta, and for Black America broadly, is the validation of a thesis that was once considered fantasy. A Black man can build a billion-dollar entertainment empire without permission from the traditional gatekeepers. A Black family can own the means of production, not merely labor within it. A southern city can rival Los Angeles as a center of content creation, not because Hollywood relocated, but because someone built an alternative from scratch. Atlanta is the new capital of Black entertainment wealth, and Tyler Perry is the reason that sentence is no longer aspirational. It is factual. The sound stages named for Cicely Tyson and Sidney Poitier are not merely tributes to the past. They are promissory notes to the future. Every Black writer, director, and actor who walks onto that lot walks into proof that the system can be circumvented, that ownership is possible, that the blueprint exists. Perry did not just change the game. He built his own arena, printed his own tickets, and kept the revenue. He is not a mogul who happens to be Black. He is a Black mogul who built his throne in the heart of the South, on land that once belonged to the United States Army, now sovereign territory in the empire of Black entertainment. Tyler Perry is the largest Black studio owner in American history. He is just getting started.